Hi, welcome to Rapid Art. My name's Paul Peterson. I'm here today with Georgia Kirk. Georgia is a publisher based out of the UK. She is the founder of Right Business Results, and she works with business people, entrepreneurs, content creators of all kinds, I think, more or less, and working with them, developing a brand and putting them out on social media and getting their ideas out into the world. So I just thanks for coming on. This is cool. This is my first intercontinental visit.
Oh, fantastic. And I think it's my first intercontinental interview. So there we go. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to add to that? Is there something I missed or something that maybe would be you
That was
feel
a
like?
wonderful introduction. I would say, well, publishing consultant rather than publisher. So I help authors publish, whether it's self-publishing or traditional publishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't. It seems like with the events in the world of the last 6 months or so, maybe publishing and I kind of know you from the self-publishing world. I think I'm still kind of fuzzy on exactly what the the whole project, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. But I mean, do you feel like possibly that publishing and self-publishing is more important now than maybe it was before the whole lockdown pandemic business?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I definitely do. I definitely do, without any doubt, because now we're living in this world that A is uncertain. So building trust and building relationships, in order to not just do business. It's not really. It's more than that, but it's about facilitating connection. And while we don't really have much face-to-face contact anymore, and that we don't know when that's going to end, then we really have the online world as our kind of doorway into what's outside. And so I think publishing, collecting your work together, your thoughts, and packaging it up in the form of content that can be published online is really important.
And then do you find that the content that people, I mean, is there more of an interest now? I mean, this time alone, did ideas start kind of coming to the surface, or what happened? I know that I've spent a lot more time working on, products or projects that are more, book-based in the last few months.
Yeah. It's a really interesting question because there was this sort of silence in the publishing industry when COVID first struck, and there are a number of international book fairs where a lot of deals are signed between publishers and authors, and the London Book Fair being one of the biggest in the world, and that happens in March ordinarily, and it was the first major event in the UK to be cancelled as a result of COVID. And so there was sort of this tumbleweed moment, and I say a moment, it was more like a sort of a month and a half or so maybe, where no one quite knew what was going on, and there were these huge gaps in editorial calendars, and at the same time people who may ordinarily have been too busy traveling, meeting, and suddenly found themselves in a working from home situation. Their work patterns were changing, and all of a sudden it seemed like an ideal opportunity to start putting some thoughts down on paper. Right. So I think it created a mutual opportunity for writers and artists and publishers alike.
So what is more important, do you think, this like a desire to publish, a desire to be out in the world, or maybe not having like a fully formed idea, or actually having an idea first, or content that you'd like to create in mind?
Yeah, so I've been writing books for entrepreneurs, and I say for, I have a done-for-you process that enables them to become a published author without writing any of the book. It is all of their content, and we have a team here that sort of craft the manuscript on that person's behalf. And so when working with authors in that way, there's a real mix. Some people come to me and say, okay, I've got this idea. I don't know whether it's sellable or whether people will want to read it. But what do you think? I'd really like to put it out there if I can. And then others will come and go, okay, I know I need content. I know that I need to put myself out there. No idea where to start. Don't have the time to learn. Total blank canvas. Don't even know what to write about. Just do your worst. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you have to formulate the idea.
So is it, I mean, what if somebody came to you with an idea that maybe just wasn't sellable, but it was something that was really personal and important to them? Do you see any value in maybe making that available?
Yeah, I do actually. I do.
Yeah.
I think it does depend. Sometimes it depends what it is, but I think with deeply personal things in the world of content, even the term itself, content, it's so business-like. It's almost clinical. In reality, somebody's thoughts and ideas and feelings and beliefs are deeply, deeply personal, and it's what makes us all human. And so it's very brave to package that up and to give it to other people, essentially opening yourself up to be judged on something that's very meaningful. But also, I think it's reasonable to assume, with the amount of people that there are in the world now, that something has struck a chord with you, then there'll be other people out there who would love to hear the words of somebody who has been through it, because they're going through it too. And I think that's really important in terms of connection.
Oh yeah, I think that's one of the great things about, I'm in South Dakota. Our buddy Mike's in Wyoming, and we're one of the least densely populated places in the world. Well, maybe not in the world, but there isn't a lot going on. I mean, if you have a crazy idea, chances are you're going to be alone with your crazy idea. And so it's nice to get out on social media and find people that are, like-minded, even if you have a real niche.
Yeah, it's very true. We have a greater ability to be in touch than we ever have had before. You and I talked about this briefly yesterday, Paul. It's the kind of dread you can feel about social media, and
man.
Yeah, I do. Like when I first did a video, I remember doing a video on Facebook. It was only about a year and a half ago, and I actually felt sick, and I was like practicing. It was like 3 minutes long, and it was just a thing, and I was horrible. And then it's just about getting started, and then you find your groove and it's fine. But actually I realized that rather than it being scary, it's actually an introvert's dream, because you kind of have that ability to reach potentially millions of people, but comfort of your spot. You don't have to leave.
You are one of the few people I've talked to that have had that same experience, where we're willing to admit it anyway. Because I'll talk to people about my anxiety over social media, and the response is usually, get over it. You need to get it. It's hard to explain that, how real it feels.
Yeah.
And I think right now, I've actually been on social media, like on Twitter, but I don't use my real name. And that was really helped me to get used to the idea that I can put things out there in the world, and it's not gonna, I don't know, there's no reason to feel anxiety about it. But one of the ideas now is that the most toxic form of social media is really something like Facebook, where you're putting ideas out there and you actually know the people, right? And so, especially like with all the, in the States anyway, I don't know what it's like. Well, I suppose with Brexit and everything, it's kind of the same way. But you might put an opinion out there, and your close friend that you actually know in real life will not agree, and then it creates this animosity or this divide that really doesn't need to be, or was never a question, previously.
Yeah, you're right. And then that fear of judgment and conflict can lead, there's the classic problem with social media of people then only putting the really good stuff out that they know will be socially liked and accepted. and then that's false, and it's not a true reflection of, you know, what's really going on, and then that puts other people under pressure to live up to those standards, and it can be a vicious cycle. But there are loads of positives.
So what advice do you have for us shy folk that have, like, maybe are, you know, they have entrepreneurial ideas, or artists or people with content that they want to get it out there, but they just can't bring themselves to do it? Is there anything?
Yeah,
Like
it's a good question.
Meditation? I don't know.
A social media special.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think some things that helped me is, because I was thinking about this also, and I was thinking, why do some people get sort of terrified about putting their book out there, but they wouldn't mind speaking on a stage to 100 people? Or, you know, why do some people feel safer putting their thoughts out there in a book and would hate something like public speaking, or, like you say, marketing yourself over social media? And I think what I've learned it boils down to is just recognizing the difference in skill sets that it takes. So when you're creating, you are in your own bubble, in your own world, and you have to go there to access your imagination. And it's a relatively introspective process. And that, I think that's what makes creativity a struggle often, because you're having to go inside of yourself and pull out that thing that has meaning, and then kind of find a way to put it out in a way that may have meaning for other people also. But when you're putting things out there rather than brooding internally, it's almost like a contradictory way of behaving. And I think that that's the struggle. And so, you know, the social media side of things, the way I've come to think of it, it's just that motion. It's just that final part in the creative process of, I've done the thing. I just need to give it to people. I just need to give people access to it. And so that way of thinking of it has helped me. But also just making it super simple and easy on yourself, because the pressure can build, and, you know, right? And then you're like, do I need to brand this video I've done? Like, does this need to be... No, definitely not. I think, you know, to ease myself into the world of doing videos, for example, I just... I just bought like a tripod thing off Amazon for about, I don't know, £20 or something. And I put my iPhone in it and just stood in front of it. That just felt comfortable to me. And I just listed 5 topics that I get asked questions about often, and just chose one. And then I just talked, and I said to myself, just talk about it for 60 seconds. And if you feel like you can carry on, do. And if not, you've done your job. It's just a minute video. People don't have long appetite for things anyway, you know?
Right.
So I did the 60 seconds, and really I found all I'd done was like introduce the topic, and actually I had loads more to say. So it became a 3-minute video, and then I built up from there. Oh
yeah. Was that the video on being prolific?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. It is. Yeah. 3 minutes of, you know.
Can you imagine the imposter syndrome, Paul? I was thinking this video is about building your profile, and I'm like terrified of being prolific. So, I just thought, you know, just come on, Georgia, do it, just get it done. It wasn't easy.
Well, maybe that brings us to, like, you know, what does it take to get the work done? So maybe we're out there online, we have a profile of some kind, and you know, I know one of the things that kept coming up in your podcast were blogs, and I guess that's not something I've never really considered or thought about. But could you kind of fill me in on what that's all about?
Yeah, sure. Blogs are a really great way to engage people globally. From an introvert perspective, they're kind of a dream, because they're very impactful snippets of written content, you know, that can be seen by many people, and you know, you really don't have to be visible as the author of that at all. But blogs are essentially short articles on any given topic that are posted to a website, and people can just kind of, I mean, there are various things that you can add in to make Google show them better, and, you know, search engine optimization, and like Sorry,
I
go ahead.
think one of the guests was talking about how maybe the blog led to his book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking about a short, I mean, I kind of think of them as online diaries somehow, or a record of a project or something. But it never occurred to me that a blog might somehow blossom into something like a book.
Yes.
And,
yeah, I'm all about making it easy, you know, make it easy on yourself. And when you
okay.
think about writing a book, it's quite an intimidating thought. And it, you know, I can only even partially empathize with that because it's what I do. So to me, I know how to do it. But when people come to me and they
Yeah.
don't know how to do it and they don't know how to write it, it's a huge thing. So one way to approach it, I mean, as I say, I consult with people one-to-one, but that's not necessarily the right option for a lot of people. And in that case, getting started with something like drawing out a mind map or just brain dumping onto a page, all of these topics that people could find interesting or that you find interesting that you would share. And just start, you know, breaking them down into little subheadings and just write 1,000 words on each one. You know, if you were to do that once a week, and 1,000 words is nothing, it's less than 2 sides of A4. If you did that once a week, within 3 to 6 months, you would have the equivalent word count, more or less, of a book. And you can start then putting that together as the kind of bare bones of one and start editing and adding to it.
So, okay, if you're starting from a blog, say you have a blog post that's amazing, it's a really great idea, you want to turn it into a book. Does it have to be 260 pages long? Or, I mean, is this necessary? Do books have to be that thick?
They don't, no.
Yeah.
We've written and published a book before that was 50-something pages. Amazon KDP, which is the self-publishing platform that I use for my self-published authors, and it's very popular. They will publish books, I think there are as few as 35 pages. Like, I mean, albeit they don't have, I don't have one to hand, but they don't have spines. They're too small. They're stapled together. I think they only have spines once they're over like 50-something pages. But by all means, you know, you can share a snippet of your thoughts with no pressure to write War and Peace.
Yeah, I think that's something that would be important for people to know, that if you have an idea, but you don't necessarily need to expand it into. In fact, it might be more effective to keep it at 35 pages. Okay. Let's see. Well, hey, I think this has been really great. You know, I guess I kind of was wondering too. I mean, as a publisher or even, you know, I mean, or being associated with the publishing world, how did you kind of get into that?
Yeah. Sorry.
Or I mean, I just, it's kind of something that I'm not, I mean, familiar with at all. But it seems really interesting because I've always wondered where all these books come from. You know.
Well, it's it was for me, it was a fairly personal thing, I suppose. So the company I was working with previously, you know, there were a lot of entrepreneurs there asking questions like, how do I get my message out, and how do I reach people that are not in my geographical region? And some would outrightly say, you know, I wish I could write a book. And I've been a writer since a really young age and an avid reader. And I have, you know, one of my favorite childhood memories, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother growing up, and she really nurtured my love of words. And she used to challenge me to memorize 10 words every week, and then she'd test me on them and their meaning. I loved it. You know, I mean, I literally read the dictionary and she had this degree that came by her house. And I remember the day I got tall enough. It was like this old like camper van thing, like caravan thing, that the couple that ran it had gutted and then put shelves around, but covered in books. And I was allowed
your own bookmobile.
Yeah, bookmobile. And I was allowed 3 a month that I could borrow, and she would help me read them. And I remember the day I got tall enough to get up the steps into the bookmobile on my own without having to be lifted in. So this was like a massive part of who I became as an adult. And so hearing these questions, for me, it just switched on this part of my brain that was, it was like, it was inevitable. Like it was a challenge I was going to solve. I thought, I couldn't believe I hadn't thought of it before, how helping people by figuring out how they can get their books out there, because I know what books meant to me, and I know, you know, and for me, that there's nothing more powerful than being able to share information like across continents and generations, and regardless of the normal social parameters. So yeah, for me it was I just kind of figured it out, and I spent about 6 months developing what I now call the book creation process, and it's been what I do ever since.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think it's a really great thing to do.
Thank you.
It's really helpful to the person writing the book, and then to these people out there that might need to hear what's going on. I know I've been spending a lot of time listening to more business type podcasts, and somehow just the attitude that a lot of these entrepreneurs have is really helpful. And I think it's a good thing for artists out there to do. Publish, get your work out there. Okay, well, I guess that was great. Thank you for the visit. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it also. And yeah, great questions. I hope it was helpful.
Yeah. So we'll just wave goodbye to everybody, and wait, where's my mic?
Yeah.
I think. Okay, thanks.